Okay, wait, is my microphone working? Alright, so here's the plan for today. We're going to try refactoring my useDimensions hook, which seems to be strangely popular on the GitHubs with the stars and stuff. 247 stars, almost my most popular project ever. So I'm going to try to refactor this to use the intersection observer, which is a new API, relatively new API in JavaScript that I've never used before. So I guess we'll see what happens, and we're gonna hope for the best. I mean, how hard can it be, right? I guess we'll see. Also, I can look at the issues and pull requests that I have. That's probably a good idea as well. What are some issues? Using useDimensions to make auto-sized input boxes from 16 days ago. That's pretty old. And fallback option you allow. Alright. Fix fallback values for top and left. Let's see. Hey fuzzy buddy, how are you doing today? Top rect Y. Oh, interesting. How did I get that one wrong? Wow. Okay, thank you very much. Add an emoji, that works. Okay, comment. Merge z pull request, confirm merge. Wonderful, so we have merged an open source contribution. Always fun. Okay, so I'm gonna pull from master, git pull origin master. Wonderful, now let's see, how does the intersection observer work? What technique do I use to type? You mean type as in typing, or do you mean type as in using a typed language of some sort? It's a strangely fuzzy question from Fuzzy Buddy over there. So let's see, useDimensions, where is it? useDimensions. Okay, so we have that, top is Y, left is X. I don't know how I got those reversed. Now let's see, right now useDimensions, you can see here, is using window resize and window scroll events to update its measurements. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to try to change that to the intersection observer, and I don't know how that works, so we're gonna figure it out. Let's see, intersection observer. Okay, so for typing I think I use 10-finger touch typing. I know I use all of my fingers to type, and as you might know, I'm using a not a mechanical keyboard. I'm using an ergonomic keyboard, which means it's almost impossible to type without using proper typing technique. But I never actually took classes or properly learned how to type, so it's just whatever came natural and developed over the last few years of typing. So I don't know if there's a name for my technique. Okay, so the intersection observer API provides a way to asynchronously observe changes in the intersection of a target element with an ancestor element or with a top-level document's viewport. Historically detecting visibility of an element, implementing infinite scrolling websites, reporting of visibility of advertisements. Implementing intersection detection in the past involved event handlers and loops calling methods like getBounding clientRect. So that is this one, getBounding clientRect. Consider a web page that uses infinite scrolling. It uses a vendor-provided library to manage the advertisements, plays blah, 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 blah. The intersection observer API allows you to configure a callback that is called whenever one element, called the target, intersects either the device viewport or specified element. For the purpose of this API, this is called the root element or root. Typically, you'll want to watch for intersection changes with regard to the document's closest scrollable ancestor. Okay. the degree of intersection between the target element and its root is the intersection ratio. This is a representation, blah. Okay, what about the ResizeObserver? I know that's a thing as well. So I'm trying to figure out which one exactly I want to use. Is it the intersection observer or the ResizeObserver? Or is it both? What? Right, so intersection observer, root margin threshold, targeting an element to be observed. Whenever the target meets a threshold specified for the intersection observer, the callback is invoked. The callback receives a list of intersection observer entry objects and the observer. Yeah, I need to... This music is kind of driving me crazy. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's... I don't think I have enough energy. The caffeine hasn't kicked in yet, so the music is bothering me. Okay, so the first box has a threshold for each percentage of visibility. The second box has a single threshold. So let's see how that works. If I scroll this down, this might not be what I'm looking for. Clipping in the intersection rectangle, change callbacks. Each entry in the list of threshold is an intersection observer entry object describing one threshold. The code snippet, blah, intersection observers, simple example. So we would have this div box, div class vertical, and then we would be looking for create observer. Where is create observer? Okay. Handle intersect observer options. Okay. Building the array of threshold ratios. Wow, this is getting complicated. Handling intersection changes. Okay. Welcome to the box. Okay, I see. So intersection observer doesn't actually seem to be what I want to do. What we need to do, let's see, ResizeObserver. The ResizeObserver interface reports changes to the content rectangle of an element or the bounding box of an SVG. The content rectangle is the box in which content can be placed. This seems much better. So if we take the following example, changes the radius of a box's. Okay, so this isn't supported on Edge, Firefox, or Internet Explorer, but does exist on okay, so we're gonna try it with the ResizeObserver because the intersection observer is not what I want. So I'm gonna tweet that out because it is a finding that we had. So let's see. Let's make a thread. 19. Okay, I was wrong. ResizeObserver is what I should be using. Hide. Cool. Okay, so let's try it with the ResizeObserver, if the ResizeObserver exists. So we're going to, let's see, we have measure, use layout effect. If the node exists, then we do stuff, otherwise we don't do stuff. Okay, so we are going to say observe size, window request animation frame, set dimensions, get dimension object, and we call measure. Why did I do this? Okay, so we have the layout effect. If the node exists, then we're going to say observe size of our node. Then, so when the observe size calls us, then we're going to, oh right, so we call measure, right, so that's what we're doing. So how should we do this? We need to get dimension object. Nice. I'm happy you enjoy my VS Code setup Fletcher codes, and I'm happy you enjoy my video. So okay, what was I doing? What I want to do is let's write out some comments so we know what we're doing and so that we have context. Also, I should zoom this in, shouldn't I? So observe size changes. On change, get dimensions. When get dimensions, update state. Return teardown for observing. If ResizeObserver unavailable, hack our own. Okay, so this should be kind of what we need, right? So let's see, how can we do that? We're going to return how can we both return a let's try it first without the teardown. So we're going to say observe size of our node. When that, so we're going to say const await no, let's do observe size, then we run get dimension, then we run set dimensions of get dimension object of our node, right? Yes, that, wow, that is, let me make that a bit wider. So right now my VS Code is struggling because it's zoomed in, so it's not properly, either that or I have syntax errors. I don't think I have syntax errors. Let's see if prettier works. Click-through mode, prettier, yeah, no errors there. So we're going to observe the size of our node. When that calls, we're going to set dimensions and get dimension object. Okay, so let's see. This is right now, this is without a teardown method. So we say function observe size of a node, and then if ResizeObserver exists, if ResizeObserver, then we're going to say unobserves all observed element targets. So ResizeObserver of entries, the following example for let entry of entries entity. What? Observer document query selector. Right. So we're going to say okay, so this is going to return a new promise that has resolve and then does stuff. Right? Right. So we resolve that by saying window request animation frame. So we're going to say new, is there a polyfill? ResizeObserver polyfill. I'm sure that exists. Q etc ResizeObserver polyfill. Let's see, ResizeObserver polyfill, a polyfill for the ResizeObserver API. This looks like it's pretty big, and it's from the Bauer times. Wow, So the intersection observer is a relatively new API. So the question was, what is the intersection observer? The intersection observer is a relatively new API that I'm not sure where it's from, or I'm not sure how old it is, but it seems to have relatively wide support, and it's basically it gives you the ability to detect when two squares intersect on a page, which is cool, but it's not what we need for useDimensions. For useDimensions, we need the ResizeObserver, which tells us when a box resizes. So I'm gonna try using that, and I'm trying to see if there's a way to, I guess we can use this ResizeObserver polyfill, so that we don't have to worry about whether it exists or doesn't exist in the project we're using. Let's see. Resize slider aim to be a faithful implementation and polyfill of the ResizeObserver draft. An optional polyfill also exists. GitHub.com. How many? ResizeObserver, that doesn't have a whole lot. What about this one? Polyfill has been tested in the following browsers. Okay, npm install ResizeObserver polyfill. Let's see how popular this one is. ResizeObserver polyfill, very popular. Okay, I'm gonna use this one, and I'm gonna assume that works. So we're gonna say yarn add ResizeObserver polyfill. That way we don't have to worry about whether it's supported in the browser, in the current browser, or not. Okay, and we can say import ResizeObserver from ResizeObserver polyfill. And now here, when we have our promise, what happened here? Okay. Oh, that's what's wrong. Okay, so I have my promise that we're returning from observe size, and observe size is going to say this: const ro equals new ResizeObserver. And we don't need a promise, we can return this as a callback, right? Yes. Or let's see. Observe size, and on resize, no, let's keep. Okay, we're gonna deal with that later. So we're going to create a new ResizeObserver that takes the entries, and we're gonna assume there's only one entry. So let's see, console log entry.content_rect, and then we say ro.observe our node. Now let's see what happens when that runs. Entry is not defined. Yes. Let's restart our yarn start. Restarting the React demo thing. That is restarting. Here we go. I'm gonna smallify this a little bit. And now when I do that, okay, so I'm a paragraph at blah. Entry is not defined. Oh, okay. Let's do console log.entries and see what that does. So ResizeObserver entry. ResizeObserver entry target is P DOM rect read only. That's useful, so we immediately get a rectangle. We don't even have to do that much. And the rectangle immediately has width, height, left, right, top, blah. Very nice. Okay. Hey Candy Cane. Oh yeah, you already said hi. Reactathon was actually really cool. I enjoyed it a lot. Okay, so we're gonna assume we have just one entries. Assuming there is only one node. And we're going to resolve that with entries of 0. Right? Let's see then. So we now have this 50 pixels, 273 pixels, position with a width, and let's see. When it resizes, it's not actually resizing. Why isn't it resizing? So let's see if it's actually getting called. Console log observe size. Okay, so that triggered the first time, but then it doesn't trigger again. Why not? Okay, so ResizeObserver isn't that great because the position isn't actually changing. Let's try console logging. Console log position, or let's say size changed. Size changed. Okay, so observer size changed. Now let's see. Yeah, see, it doesn't fire again, even though the size definitely changed for this paragraph. Okay, so interesting. Now it's interesting. So it's firing when we are when we're increasing the size, but it's not firing when we're decreasing the size, or is it? No, it is. Okay. Cool. So interesting. So it looks like the ResizeObserver is triggering. So observe, like the ResizeObserver is triggering, but my promise isn't resolving. Let's see. How do I create a new promise again? New promise. Is it not? Is the first argument? No, it is resolve reject. So that's funny. Why is it only, can a promise only resolve once? I guess it can. Huh. Okay, we are gonna have to do this with callbacks. Fascinating. That's kind of shitty, but ooh, we can use generators. Generators would be cool for this. How do generators work? ES6 generators, because I always forget how this shit works. So let's see, maybe I can use a generator for this, and we can generate, yes, that would be cool. We can yield. Let's do that. I don't know yet how to use this, but I think it's gonna be cool. Okay, so we are observing, and we're going to say function observe size, size changed, and it's going to yield entries of 0, like that. And then it's going to observe. And now how do I use this? gen.next.value. So we're going to say const observation equals observe size node. And then how do I... I'm actually not sure that this is going to be a good idea, but we can try. This might in fact be a terrible idea. Gen next.value, next.value. So we can keep generating them. How do we create an infinite loop to keep consuming generators? Gen next, not blah, passing arguments, yield and return. Okay, so we can both return and yield. That's awesome. Not constructible, generator defined as an expression. Okay, let's see. This might be a terrible idea, but it's an interesting idea to try. While true is in fact a terrible idea. While true, we say yeah, this is gonna be a terrible idea, isn't it? Let's just use callbacks like normal people, unfortunately. So callback. Yeah. Yeah, let's make it work first with callbacks, and then we can worry about generators and playing around with that stuff. So we're going to have a callback ro observe, and it's going to return our ro. That's going to be our teardown. So we're going to here say observe size node, and when that resolves, we're going to run our set dimensions thing. Let's see, blah, and console log size changed. Okay, now let's see what happens with that. Where is my example code? Example code. What am I doing wrong? Unexpected token on line 74. What? Can anyone see what I'm missing? Prettier isn't even working. That's annoying. So we have ro.observe. What am I doing wrong? Okay, so that works, right? Yes. And then we add if node. Ah, that's what was wrong. I don't know how that got there. Okay. So let's see, size changed, and now it just keeps firing forever. That's not good either. Interesting. So that is definitely firing way too much. I wonder why that's firing so much. But we should hear. How can we tell it to not be so trippy? ResizeObserver infinite loop. ResizeObserver observe firing the callback immediately results in infinite loop. Don't think so. It would be duplicate blah. Oh, maybe we have to right. That's because we're not disconnecting them. So we're going to return RO, and so RO dot, what is it? Disconnect, is it? ResizeObserver observe disconnect. So we're returning RO dot disconnect, and we're going to disconnect this one here. So return observe size, and this returns the disconnect function. Let's cancel this. Make sure, because right now what was happening was that every time we re-rendered, we created a new observer and we weren't disconnecting the previous observer, which ended up just firing a whole lot of things. So let's see. Okay, yarn start. Oh, am I already out of liquids? Oh. Okay, run that guy. Nope. It's also, oh, it stopped eventually. Interesting. Okay, so I guess the next step is making sure that this is debounced. We can do that with, let's see, debounce JavaScript debounce. Let's see, debounce in JavaScript, level up, get connected, JavaScript debounce function. Can someone explain the debounce function? Debounce npm, throttling and debouncing. I know that Lodash has this, but I want to see if I can avoid using Lodash. Just for absolutely no good reason. Useful for implementing blah. Window on resize debounce. Okay, let's try using this one. Yarn add debounce, or let's see about Lodash debounce. Lodash debounce, because I think we can import only a single function from Lodash. Let's see, Lodash dot debounce. Ah, come on. 4 million downloads, perfect. Yarn add Lodash dot debounce. Okay, and then we go up here and we say import debounce from Lodash dot debounce, and we're going to debounce this callback. How do we use it? Oh wow, it's 3 years old. So debounce function wait, we're going to say debounce callback, and we're gonna say, let's say 16 milliseconds, 10 milliseconds. Let's do 16 because that gives us 60 frames per second, which should be plenty. And let's see if that improves. Yarn start. Okay. Uncaught type error expected a function. Oh, right. Like that. We'll have to debounce it first, and then we return a thing. I'm not sure this is actually debouncing. Let's try changing it to 1 second and seeing if it's actually doing anything. Yes, it is. Okay, so this is still not actually so we're using the ResizeObserver now, but it's not as good of a solution as what we had before with recalculating on window resize and window scroll, which is pretty annoying problem. So what should we do about this? Should we just forget about it? I think we should just forget about it because it's not working that well. I mean, yeah, it's using better browser APIs, but the final result is not as good as it was before. Let's see how it works in Firefox. Just so we get a feel for what happens. Yeah, see, it's just going crazy. Yeah, so okay, well, that was a fun experiment. We did not learn anything useful. So I'm going to Command Z out of all of this. And yeah, window.blah is still much better than just using old school stuff is still better than trying to use new APIs and shit. How sad is that? Let's see, Command Z. Oh, you know what I can do? I can do git checkout dot. Don't save index.js, and we have all of the same stuff as before. React.js. So yeah, that's it. I'm still gonna release a new version because of merging the pull request. But yeah, that's it. There's bloody hell, it just doesn't work well. Okay. That was fun. So let's see, I think I have here using useDimensions to make auto-sized input boxes. I was trying to use this package to create an auto-sized input that adapts to the text inside. I got it to work, but I have to render the text that the width comes from like such. Is there any way to hide the text that we are getting the width from, or perhaps a cleaner way to do this? Text ref, step ref, the title, input value, the title. Okay. Hey, Junaid D3. Sorry, I just saw this now. Have you resolved the problem yet? Or maybe you can provide a code sandbox so that I can understand the context better, understand your context better. Okay, so I'm going to release a new version of useDimensions. So we say npm version minor. That bumps the version patch. Git tag minus git log. Let's reset back to this. Git reset minus heart blah, and we say git tag minus d v1.2.0. Git tag git tag minus d. How do I delete a git tag? How to delete git tag? I always forget how to do this. Git tag, git push, git tag minus d. Git tag minus d v120, and then we say npm version patch. Perfect. Git push origin master. Npm publish, and I think I'm gonna need my OTP code for that, so I need to go get my phone. Okay, let's see. Phone. Pull up. Applications one. Authenticator. Alright, so new version is up on NPM with the fixed bug. Using intersection observer or ResizeObserver was unsuccessful, but yeah, that was a fun experiment for tonight. Tomorrow we're going to work on... I'm not sure yet exactly. I need to organize all of my ideas and thoughts that I had for all of the different projects I want to work on, but I'm gonna try to be live coding more regularly going forward, so like 3 to 4 times a week. We'll see how it goes. Thanks everyone for watching. I will see you again tomorrow.